The root of college esports growth starts here. This is College Esports Now. Tune in to College Esports Now for the most exciting highlights and updates in collegiate gaming. Get ready for non-stop action and excitement. Catch us live every Friday and Sunday right here on ESTV. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of College Esports Now. I'm your host, Paulie Hype, and later we'll be joined by my co-host, Katie Scott, for this week's college esports news. But for now, let's head around the U for the latest in matchups, competition, and standings. We start out the week with Monday, March 20th for the NJC AAE Rocket League Week 6, featuring Wake Technical Community College versus Centralia College. It's Rocket League time, and we got Wake Tech taking on Centralia in the NJC AAE Invitational Division. It was a slow-paced game one, but Wake Tech were able to create opportunities to enable players like Panda Cafe to get goals. Wake Technical were able to convincingly take game one as theirs, but game two was going to be a lot tougher, there's no doubt about it. Centralia was going goal for goal with Wake Tech, and it looked like the second game might go to an overtime. It wasn't enough, however, as Wake Technical's Danny got himself a hat trick to get his team to series point. The momentum was fully in Wake Technical's side as they kept up the pressure throughout the third game and claimed a 3-0 victory for Week 6. Next up is the ECAC Conference for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Week 8, featuring Fisher College Fall versus Kane University. At the beginning of the season, Kane University fell 2-0 to Fisher Spring. Can they seek out revenge in the final week against Fisher Fall? Despite the expectations, Kane was keeping up with Fisher Fall. Both of their starters went down to the final stock, but Fisher Fall's Nexus prevailed. Both teams kept on trading stocks back and forth until it came down to the final two players. Tony Pajamas on Piranha Plant and Lust on Bayonetta. With only two stocks remaining, Tony Pajamas took out Lust and claimed set 1 as Fisher Falls. Tony Pajamas stayed on as the starter for set 2, and he put on a clinic against Town before falling to Kane's second player, Helios. A familiar pattern from set 1 was appearing again as Kane and Fisher Fall, as stock players were being traded and exchanged until finally Lust came out to face off against Nexus. It was a close final battle as both players were over 100% in damage, and in the end, it was Fisher Fall that came out on top to remain undefeated in the ECAC regular season. Next, we head to Tuesday, March 21st for the Padilla Cup matchmaking season, Week 6, featuring Powerpuff Girls versus UARC Rose. After a hard-fought loss last week against Carleton, Powerpuff Girls are looking for a redemption game against newcomers UARC Rose. UARC Rose may have gotten the early advantage, but Powerpuff Girls Sasha is no stranger to clutching up rounds, especially when she is the last player standing. It looked like UARC Rose might be able to tie it up on Icebox after the second half, but a switch was flipped for Powerpuff Girls as they claimed map 1 as a victory for themselves. The second map saw us traveling over to Pearl, where Powerpuff Girls started off slow, but quickly showed why they are one of the biggest and best threats in the Padilla Cup, as they got the first half with a 9-3 scoreline. Fortunately for them, there was no 9-3 curse as Powerpuff Girls claimed another victory this week for the Padilla Cup matchmaking season. Next up is the ECAC Conference for Valorant Week 8, featuring St. Peter's University versus St. Francis University, Battle of the Saints. It's the final week of the regular season for ECAC, as both St. Peter's and St. Francis are looking to claim a better seeding position going into playoffs. It was a tense affair between the two teams, as they were neck and neck in the early rounds before tying it up 6-6 dead even at the half. At one point, it looked like St. Peter's would run away with the win on Pearl, but St. Francis was quick to answer and sent the game to overtime. It looked like the first map would be going for a while as we went to a double overtime, but St. Francis were not having it as they took two back-to-back rounds to claim Pearl as their win. Icebox was next up, and it was looking heavily St. Francis favored, as after they dropped the first 2 rounds, they went on a spree, not dropping another round in the first half. The scoreline was locked up at 12-2, and that was when St. Peter's finally came to play, as they won the next 6 rounds without any answer from St. Francis. In the most heartbreaking finish, St. Francis Doodle Ninja defused the bomb in front of St. Peter's to get the series win and remain undefeated in the regular ECAC season. Next up is the Mountain West Conference for Overwatch 2 Round 7, Utah State University versus University of New Mexico. There's only one playoff spot remaining in the Mountain West Conference, and only one of these 2 teams can claim that spot. Utah State or New Mexico, who will it be? In the most poetic fashion, both teams each got 100% to 0% rounds on Oasis, with players like Katz and Karama popping off. The grand finish of our first map did end up going in favor of Utah State after several amazing team kills. Kings Row was up next, and New Mexico had a breath of new life in them as they were able to hold off the aggression from Utah State to tie up the series. Unfortunately, New Mexico were not able to emulate that success, as Circuit Royale and Utah State were able to put a pin in that momentum and were able to get a dominant win to get themselves to series point. Our potential final map was Esperanza, and New Mexico were almost able to make a comeback after Utah State fumbled a bit and started making some mistakes. It was not enough, however, as Utah State won one final team fight to snatch the final playoff spot and move on to next week's semi-final match in the Mountain West Conference. Next up is Wednesday, March 22nd for the ECAC Conference Rocket League Week 8, featuring SUNY Polytechnic versus University of Kentucky. We've seen both of these 2 teams in the previous weeks of the ECAC, and now in the final week, they are both vying for one of the 2 spots on the leaderboard. SUNY Poly may have gotten the opening goal, but Kentucky was quick to answer back with a total of 4 goals, and they did not let their opponents get any more goals in all of Game 1. The next game was a lot slower paced, with both teams getting 1 goal apiece before going into overtime, where Kentucky were quickly able to score the game-winning goal. Game 3 was a similar scenario to Game 1, as SUNY Poly were ahead in the early game, but Kentucky were not ones to falter, as they wound up knocking in goals to get all the way to series point, that's 3-0. SUNY Poly were not ones to give up, as they kept on matching Kentucky goal for goal to send us to yet another overtime, with both teams getting 5 goals apiece. In the end, though, the victors were Kentucky, as they ended the regular season with a perfect undefeated record in the ECAC Conference. Next up is the ECAC Conference for Overwatch 2 Week 8, Morris College versus Muskingum University. We move over to the Division B for Overwatch, as Morris and Muskingum are both vying for that first place seed moving into the playoffs. This battle starts us off in Nepal, where Marist showed us how dominant they could be as they claimed a perfect 100% round, followed by another dominating round to gain the early 1-0 lead in the matchup. The next map was Kings Row, and both teams were able to push the payload all the way to the end to send us to one of our few hybrid overtimes. Marist were able to push the payload all the way to the end, but an unfortunate C9 in overtime gave Muskingum the advantage to tie up the series. Junkertown was where Maris GG Dax was able to show off, as his tank play was unstoppable by punishing and shutting down Muskingum's attack to get his team the series point. Muskingum were almost able to tie up the series on Colossio, but GG Dax and Comrade Doge said no way, as they cut down the opposing team to end the regular season with a victory. Woo! Next, it's Thursday, March 23rd for the NJC AAE Valorant Week 6, featuring South Puget Sound Community College versus Northern Virginia Community College. We got 2 of the top Valorant teams in the NJC AAE, duking it out for that top spot, the Nova Nighthawks and South Puget Sound. The first map saw us go to Fracture, and South Puget Sound were on fire, as players like Duper and Peng were showing off with 4Ks to start us off. Nova Nighthawks were able to hold South Puget Sound at 12 rounds for a little while, but Big Guns was able to grab the momentum back to claim the first map victory for South Puget. Icebox was a lot closer for the two squads, as it was all tied up by the end of the first half. Nova Nighthawks were fighting tooth and nail to force the series into a map 3, as they did whatever it took to win rounds against their foes. Sadly though, it was not enough, as South Puget Sound took down the undefeated Nova Nighthawks to make it a 6-way tie for that top seed position in the NJCAAE Conference. Next up is the ECC Conference for Valorant Week 7, Utica University versus College of Staten Island. It's the final week of the ECC action, as Utica is vying for one of the top seeds, but they have Staten Island standing in their way first. Utica had the early advantage in the first half, but time was ticking against them, as Staten Island was climbing up and taking rounds. Staten Island did not falter in their momentum, as they shut down Utica's chance to take Haven as their own. Staten Island came out swinging on the next map, Lotus, as they were able to add on consecutive round wins in their tally, while Utica could only look on. There was some breath of life for Utica, as Joyce was able to take down all members of Staten Island to claim an ace for themselves. It was not enough, as Staten Island took down Utica in dominant 2-0 fashion to move up in the standings in the playoffs on the horizon. Next up is Sunday, March 26th, for a special event, the CECC Midwest Regional Qualifier. It's the CECC Midwest Regional Qualifier, and we have some of the best schools competing for a spot at CECC Arlington. Up first was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate semifinals, where we saw Akron and Northwood fight through all 3 sets, but in the end, it was Northwood's Frostbite as the last man standing. Northwood would move on to face Michigan State in the grand finals, where Michigan State were able to defeat their opponents in a 2-0 dominating fashion. Illinois Esports met Ball State in the Overwatch semifinals in the next game, and Illinois Esports managed to defeat their foes 3-1 to have a date with an Overwatch juggernaut, the Illinois State Redbirds. Finals was a simple affair, as the Illinois State Redbirds got the 3-0 win over Illinois Esports to get that bid to CECC Arlington. Northwood was in another finals as they faced off against Columbia College in Rocket League that, despite the 4-0 scoreline, it was a close, tense battle between the two Rocket League titans. The final series of the night was the Valorant Finals between Northwood again and Mizzou Esports, where both teams were showing why they are on some of the top teams in the collegiate atmosphere. It was a tough battle, but in the end, Northwood came out on top to claim their ticket to Texas and face off against some of the best teams in the nation in Valorant.
What's up, and welcome to the State of Esports, brought to you by Skillshot Media, Ghost Gaming, and the Georgia Esports League. We're nearing the end of March and Women's History Month, and we wanted to start this episode by recognizing 3 of our Ghost ambassadors, Aislinn, Sinclair, and Hannah. Ace currently manages the Columbus State University Esports program, Sinclair is working on developing the Spelman College Esports program, and Hannah, the Rocket League coordinator of UGA Esports, is penning an article to share their experiences, insights, and visions for the future as women in esports. When that article comes out, you'll be the first to know. The end of March also means the beginning of the end of spring collegiate seasons. And we have updates to bring you regarding some of our Georgia teams. First up, let's talk about Peach Belt Conference. PBC held their Overwatch and League of Legends finals this last weekend in Aiken, South Carolina. Several Georgia teams competed, including Kennesaw State University, Columbus State University, University of North Georgia, and University of West Georgia. KSU made it to the final matches of both titles, but unfortunately were not able to clinch the championship spots, going home with respectable second place finishes. We'll stay on that KSU hype train for just a moment and highlight a few additional accomplishments to date. Every team KSU entered into NACE and NECC has made it to playoffs. That's 7 titles in NACE alone. Speaking of NACE, UGA Rocket League has secured first in their NACE Star League division for the first time in program history. And speaking of UGA, this last weekend was Dog Hack, the first major LAN hosted by UGA Esports in several years. The event was held in the Tate Grand Hall on campus and brought teams from UGA, KSU, Auburn, and Georgia Tech to compete in Rocket League and Valorant, as well as simultaneously hosting a Super Smash tournament. We'll close this episode out, though, by talking about collegiate Valorant. CVAL has been running for a few weeks, and there have already been a few Georgia versus Georgia matches. Notably, Emory Blue defeated Georgia Tech Blue in their season opener, while Georgia Tech White has defeated UGA White in round 5. With many Georgia schools in CVAL East, we're looking forward to more of this in-state matchup. And that's actually going to do it for this episode of the State of Esports. We'll see you next time.
Next up, let's check in with my co-host, Katie Scott, for the latest in college esports news. Katie, what's around the U?
Thank you so much, Polly. I'm feeling a very good start for the new season this year. Let's start with some good news. Hold on tight because we are diving right in. It's no joke. On April 1st, there will be a bunch of students invading the campus of East Tennessee State University, as the school will have their doors open for its so popular annual event, the ETSU Con. Its Tri-City Slam tournament, presented by ETSU Online and sponsored by Mulligan's Gaming Pub, comes as a continuation of the event held during last year's ETSU Con, where the participating esports team will be playing from the stage in the center of video gaming on campus known as The Cave, where patrons can watch instead of over a live stream. Coach Jeff Shell is preparing the ETSU esports team for the tournament, which will feature teams from King University and Northeast State Community College show off in the 3 games Overwatch 2, Rocket League, and Valorant. The tournament will be live streamed from 8 a.m. on the university's Twitch channel and continue throughout the day in coordination with ETSU's Con. The sweepstakes trophy will reside at the resident school for the following year, then be entered back into the tournament for another player to claim. Schools such as University of Tennessee Knoxville, Middle Tennessee State University, University of Tennessee Chattanooga, and Appalachian State University and Emory and Henry College will also be participating. For more information, visit etsu.edu esports or their Instagram at ETSU Esports. It's never too late to learn. The Esports Coaching Academy, founded by the Icelandic Esports Association, is providing hands-on coaching to at least 4% of all kids in Iceland. The academy trains coaches through an online portal and then partners with facilities to provide in-person coaching. With a waiting list of kids eager to participate, the Academy has raised $750,000 and plans to raise more to expand across Europe and North America. The Academy's specific method of coaching has been shown to engage and retain players, while also improving in-game skills and teaching important values, such as communication, respect, and healthy habits. The success of the Esports Coaching Academy in Iceland shows the potential for economic sustainability at the grassroots level of esports. This initiative is not only beneficial for the players and for Iceland's, but also for the image of gaming as a whole. By promoting healthy habits and positive values, the Esports Coaching Academy hopes to enhance the perception of gaming in the eyes of parents and government regulators. It all comes from the heart. Sacred Heart University is gearing up to host the 3rd annual Connecticut Esports Showcase, a highly anticipated event that will bring together Connecticut's top collegiate esports programs. Organized by SHU's academic esports program, the tournament will be held as a hybrid event with matches taking place online on April the 1st and at the Dr. Michelle C. Loris 70s Forum at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield on April the 2nd. The 2-day event will feature 4 exciting games: Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, and Smash Ultimate, with single and double elimination brackets, and an in-person championship held on Sunday to determine the ultimate winner. The event will feature returning schools and teams such as Sacred Heart University, Albertus Magnus College, Central Connecticut State University, and the University of Connecticut, among others. The event will also feature an in-person spectator arena, a live broadcast, and prizes for individual performances and team achievements. The showcase provides a fantastic opportunity for Connecticut universities and colleges to compete against each other and showcase the rapid growth of the esports industry. High schools are also invited to the event as well, offering them a glimpse into the exciting world of esports. An awards ceremony will close out the weekend, the high energy and excitement surrounding the event. It is sure to be a thrilling weekend for all esports fans and players alike. IndieGG, one of the leading regional gaming DAOs, has announced a Web3 gaming championship with a prize pool of $200,000. With the head sponsor of the event being Web3 esports platform venture X Gaming. The event kicked off with intra-college competition across 64 colleges in Bangalore, with Thaden Arena and EVIO as the initial games being played. The championship then concluded with top gaming influencers in the country competing against each other in an exhibition match. All the matches were broadcasted live on YouTube, and the whole event managed to get more than 1 million views. After Bangalore, the competition is set to run in the cities of Pune, Lodi, NCR, Chennai, and Dhaka, before finishing in a grand finale in November of 2023. Along with the Web3 Championship, IndieGG also launched its own esports athlete reputation program where athletes will have a public log of their performance. Teams, coaches, and sponsors can use this data to evaluate players' match and credibility while onboarding them. Students deserve the best on esports and their experience. It's great to see India providing just that. It's never enough, is it? Esports has become increasingly popular in Iowa, especially in Wartburg College, where the esports program has plans to renovate a bigger space for its gaming teams. More than 25 students currently share 15 computers to both practice and compete, and we can definitely see where it could cause some setbacks. Now, fully funded by donations, the new space planned in the Classroom Technology Center accounts for extra space, including 12 additional computer slots, bringing it up to a total of 27 available stations where the athletes can practice. There also seems that a broadcasting space and a dedicated competition space were accounted for in the final design, so you know it has to turn out phenomenal. Head coach Joshua Fisher said the project will be completed by the fall and hopes the space will help further grow the program, also earning to add an additional team for the upcoming school year. McDonald's, the fast food giant, has been announced as the presenting sponsor for the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup, which is scheduled to take place from May the 5th to the 7th at the Esports Stadium in Arlington in Texas. The CECC is an annual event that brings together the best collegiate esports teams from across the country to compete for the title. The event will feature 64 teams from multiple conferences and associations who will compete in 4 games, including Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Overwatch 2, Rocket League, and Valorant. What's exciting about this year's CECC is that it will see the first ever participation of a team from a historically Black college or university. By sponsoring the CECC, McDonald's is showing its commitment to the esports industry once more. The event provides a platform for students to showcase their gaming skills, which could lead to opportunities for a future career in the esports industry. And with the addition of an HBCU team, the event is sure to be even more memorable, showcasing the growing inclusivity and diversity within the gaming world. Yellow Springs High School in Ohio has added a new after-school activity for its students, an esports team. Thanks to a grant from the YS Community Foundation, the school was able to purchase dedicated equipment, including computers and gaming chairs. The esports team is made up of several groups that compete in different games against other schools in their league via computer. The team was formed due to student interest and currently has around 25 members, with boys dominating the roster. However, girls and gender non-conforming students also have joined the team's first 7-week season and has progressed. The team competes through Esports Ohio, a nonprofit organization and league formed with the goal of creating a world where electronic sports are embraced as a positive, educational, and developmental change agent for all students. Esports Ohio is sponsored by the Entertainment Software Rating Board, which means all games played have a rating of everyone, for ages 10 and up or teen for ages 13 and up. The team plays Rocket League on Wednesdays, Fortnite on Mondays, and Overwatch and Valorant on Tuesdays and Thursdays, respectively. What a busy schedule that is. Let's hope they can keep it up. Michigan State University's Esports Club Association held a 24-hour live stream last February the 29th. The event was a success, raising around $3,000, all of which was donated to raise funds for the Spartan Strong Fund. During the live stream, members commentated on matches and showcased small tournaments across various esports games, including the MSU Overwatch Club and the MSU Super Smash Bros. Club. Viewers of the stream could donate to the fund, while home tournaments required an entry fee for participation. Additionally, Keely, the art director of the MSU Overwatch Club, and Max De Silva, the broadcast manager for the MSU Esports Association, appeared on the stream to provide commentary and manage the crew. The MSU Esports Club Association is a collection of various video game clubs that support their members in tournaments, including hosting tournaments themselves and live streaming events. And it's set to plan holding future streams and events, providing a platform for students to come together and support their community, while also providing and enjoying the competition and entertainment of esports. Finally, if you're curious as to what causes they're contributing to and want to be a part of it, donations to the fund can still be made through the Spartan Strong Fund official website. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me. I'm handing it back over to you, Polly, to cover the rest of today's program.
Thank you for joining us for week number 6 of College Esports Now. I hope you're up to date with all the latest action and news in the college esports universe. From everyone at College Esports Now, we'll see you next week for all the hype, storylines, and competition in college esports. Woo!